What's up, party people? This is Tarkus Jude Mossberg from Facebook, Jude's Junk Facebook comic book shop YouTube channel. How to avoid seller's remorse. It's actually a really interesting idea, concept. There is a lot that goes into it, and by the time you learn your lessons, you don't have that book anymore, and you're kicking yourself, especially because your instinct was not to sell it, but the last sale was this, so you sold it for that, and now it's worth twice as much, and you have seller's remorse. So I am on Facebook, Tarkus Jude Mossberg. Jude's Junk is my page. Whatnot, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube channel that you're looking at this on probably. So when you get into this mindset that a book is only worth what the last sale is, it's very possible that the last sale for a book, you're sensing it's too low, but you don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to try to sell it for more than that because you've seen people respond online, hey, you can't sell it for more than the last sale. Usually that's someone trying to beat you down so they can get it for last sale because someone got a screaming deal at an auction, so now they're trying to beat you down because they want you to offer it at the same price. And some people think fair market value means that's not a fair price, and that's not what fair market value means. A buyer and a seller agree on a price, that's what's considered fair because they both agreed on it. It wasn't set by the government, it wasn't set by some third party, it was a buyer and a seller agree on a price. So a seller is desperate for money. He throws it up on an auction site that he's done no research for. They sell it on a day that he didn't say. They mark it wrong. It's not labeled newsstand, and it sells for 50% of what it's worth. That doesn't mean the whole book across the world just dropped 50%. It just means someone got a great deal on an auction because of 1,000 different factors, and that was the last sale. And you and I are like, ooh, I want one of those at last sale prices. You better give it to me at last sales or you're overcharging. So what I learned was, this usually happens when you're a dealer and you're just trying to offer everything at similar prices and you're using your little app, Go Collect or Cover Price, because those apps aren't accurate. Most people know that. GPA is much better, but you're trying to either sell it for either near last sale or near 90-day value, and you're like, man, this is a great book. I don't know if I want to give it up for the 90-day price of $900. That's perfectly okay. That's a sign that you love that book. Now, maybe you love it because the looks, because the joy it gives you when you see it in your collection. Maybe you love it because you know it's undervalued. Maybe you love it because you think it's going to go up because there's a big movie coming. There could be a lot of reasons you love that book. Maybe you love it simply because it brings back memories of your dad, your childhood, whatnot. It doesn't matter why you like a book, but you love the book. And the price that the pricing guides are asking you to sell it at, they just seem low. Trust your gut. Unless you need the money, trust your gut. The next thing I do is, okay, what's the cheapest it's going for on eBay, on my comic shop? So let's say the 90-day was 1,000 and the last sale was 1,000, just to keep it easy, right? Okay, there's been 4 or 5 sales at about 1,000. So Incredible Hulk 340 was selling for about 900, about 9 months ago, well, maybe even 12 months ago at this point. Last fall, 2025, it was going for like $800-900. And I just sensed that was way too low for Incredible Hulk 340. So I was buying every one I could, and every one I bought, I sold for $1,300. Even though the last sales were $900, it was going for $1,300. And now it's back up to $1,300. But I just knew that was low, and I was buying them as much as I could because it's just a great book. It was really, really low, and I was like, worst case scenario, I end up with 4 Incredible Hulk 340s, 9.8, and I can't sell them, and I'm okay with that if you got the money. So I did not try to turn around and sell it at 900. Not only do I love Todd, not only did I get into comics in the early 80s and got to see Todd come to rise in his popularity and then go on to Image, that was all part of my collecting time, was him changing the world in comic books. And so if I get stuck with Batman 423, Incredible Hulk 340, ASM 300, I'll do that all day long. Those will always sell. They are perpetual great books. And besides ASM 300, they're just great covers that everybody wants. And Todd is getting older, and when he passes away, these books will go through the roof. So I'm okay holding on to a book, not selling that book, asking for a higher price. So I got online. If you sense this book is being sold for too low, get online. See what it's selling for on eBay. You might be surprised that even though the fair market value is $1,000, the cheapest on eBay is $1,500. Now, sure, people will say everybody on eBay is overpriced. Okay, look to see what the last sale on eBay was. There may not be a last sale. It might be that all those $1,000 sales were on GPA or Heritage or some auction site. All right, so the cheapest I can buy it anywhere in the world is $1,500. This is when you have to ask yourself, do you need the cash? Do you want to sell it for the 90-day average at $1,000? Do you want to price it to be the cheapest in the world at $1,450? How bad do you need the money? So there is no value in comic books. It comes down to how fast you need to sell it and if you have a buyer that's willing to pay for it. And you might offer financing, so maybe they're willing to pay more for financing. Maybe you trade it and you give a trade value a little higher. These are ways, again, that I try to avoid buyers or seller's remorse specifically. There's some books I really like, and I just know they're undervalued. I know that if you hold on to them, they'll go up, or whatever the reason is. Maybe I just been looking for this book for a long time and I'm just not willing to let it go for less. And there may not be a lot of buyers. You know, your ability to market and get in front of 1 million buyers versus someone who puts it on one Facebook group and does one post and it never gets bumped. You know, how many eyes you get in front of is going to determine whether you can sell it and how fast you can sell it. If you're only doing on one group and you're just doing a regular discussion post, not a marketplace ad, and it never gets any bumps, you know, you might have 10 eyes on it. You put it on eBay, it might have 500 eyes in the same amount of time. So your ability to get it in front of eyes is going to be a bigger factor than whether you're pricing it right, I believe. Again, how to avoid seller's remorse. You like the book, don't price it at 90-day fair market value or whatever your Go Collect or cover price says is fair market value or last sale. Price it at a price that you'll be like, okay, if I have $1,200, I'll sell this book for $1,200. I would be fine with that. Because you have to, because the balance, what would I pay for it? Because this is a book you're like, okay, it's 90 days, not $1,000, but I'd pay $1,000 for it. As a collector, I'd pay $1,000 for that. So that's not, if I see it out there for $1,000, I would snap it. So a lot of people don't realize this, but as a seller or a collector or a dealer, you know, yeah, fair market value might be $1,000, but I'm like, okay, if I take $1,300, I'm willing to sell this book. Let's say Incredible Hulk 340. If it's $1,000, I'm going to buy it. Even though the 90 day is $900, $950, if it's $1,000, I'll buy it. So there's that trade-off. I'm happy to sell it at $1,300. It may not sell, but that's what I'll be happy to sell it at. And then you need the cash. Okay, when you need the cash, there's other things going on in your life that are more important than the comic book. And seller's remorse is different then, because you're like, okay, I need to get rid of these books to pay for medical bills, pay for my mom, my daughter, my kids, my dogs, whatever. You know, there's something more important than comic books, and I get that. And that's not the kind of seller's remorse. And we all feel bad because we let good books go. I can think of an Alan Moore Swamp Thing 20 9.8 newsstand signed by Alan Moore. I let go for $4,000, and I thought it was I way overpriced it, and then he ended up turning around and selling it on eBay for $6,500. I just knew it was worth way more than what I was able to get it for, and it went for way more than I priced at, and I was just shooting in the dark because there's not Alan Moore signed newsstands available. It's the only one in the world, right? 9.8 newsstand, and it was not only him, it was one of the other Total Ben or whatever the other artist was or writer on Swamp Thing 20. So price it higher than fair market value. Some people do price higher than even the lowest sale on eBay. There might be one dude that's selling that book for $1,100 on eBay, and you're like, you know what? I wouldn't be happy if I sold it for $1,100. I'd be happy at $1,300. So price it at $1,300. There's nothing that says you have to be the cheapest in the world. Someone is going to buy that $1,100 book. Now the question is the next person going to come along and sell it for $1,100, or is the next person going to come along and offer it for $1,300? Just because one guy in Oklahoma needs his 15%, 85% of it, $1,100, he needs his $700 because he got in a car accident and needs to get to work, that doesn't mean the price of the book around the world changes. It just means that was the last sale. Now, of course, as a buyer, you want to be similar to the last sale. We always use that to gauge whether we're getting a deal or not. But in an up market like we are in now, a lot of the blue chips keys are going up. They're not staying stable like pre-2019. They are going up. And if you are not aware of that, it's been like that for 9 months now. Visibly in the data. It was doing that before, but now it's visibly in the recorded data and people see it. The YouTube videos are talking about it. So again, how to avoid seller's remorse. You don't have to be the cheapest person in the world. If you want to sell it sooner, then that's one thing. So what I'll do is, okay, this guy on eBay wants to sell it for $1,100 and it's going to get recorded as $1,100 sale. But think about it. Okay, it's $1,100 plus $20 shipping, so it's $1,120. Multiply that by 6 to 10%. That's the tax that buyer is most likely going to pay. There's only a few states that don't charge sales tax. So let's say 6%. I just sold a book the other day and the guy paid 10%. So I think 6 is low. 10 might be closer to average, to tell you the truth. 10% of $1,100 is, let's say $100. So that guy's out $1,230. That's not far away from your $1,300, but it's recorded as a $1,100 sale. So now the next guy might want it for that. But now the people that are desperate to sell it are like, there's let's say 1,000 people in the world with that book. No one has it up for sale because none of those 1,000 people want to sell it for $1,100. That's why it's not for sale anywhere. Everyone's like, this is a great book. I'll hold on to it until the price goes up. There's nothing wrong with throwing it up there for $1,300. You may not sell it, but as soon as someone buys the one on eBay for $1,400, then all of a sudden your $1,300 price is underpriced. This is how I avoid seller's remorse. Seller's remorse is a real thing. You knew you sell it too low. You're kicking yourself. Seller's remorse is like, I messed up. I made a mistake. Selling it because you need to pay a medical bill is not like, I made a mistake. It's like, man, I had to get rid of a great book. That's not the same thing, I don't believe. I'm thinking seller's remorse is like, man, I really priced it. I blew it. I didn't do the research. I didn't do enough research. I knew it was too low and I let it go anyways because I wanted to be a good guy, blah, blah, blah. What are the reasons? I've learned by trial and error that when I look through my comics, there's some that I'm like, oh, that's a nice, sweet book. Okay, that is nice. That brings back the memories. That's the key book. This one's a good book. This one's a nice book to have. Okay, this is a cheap little key. It's fun to have in the collection. But there's the nice ones. You're like, oh yeah, this is one of my babies. This is one of my best books. And when you lose that feeling. You lose that feeling. You got rid of one of your best books. You sold it too cheap. You have seller's remorse. And you wonder, what did you do wrong? I sold it at fair market value at the time. I didn't know it was going to go up. Well, there's one thing to be upset because it went up. You sold Ghost Rider 1 4 weeks ago and it was 150 and now it's worth 400. That's also seller's remorse. That's just, you didn't know it was going to happen at San Diego Comic-Con, that Ryan Gosling was going to be announced. I mean, everybody knew Ghost Rider was coming. Everybody knew Ghost Rider has been coming for a while. It's not on the big screen yet, sooner or later. But everybody knows that everything's coming, right? There's only so many things a person can buy unless you have unlimited funds and you just buy every spec book there's out there. But I think most buyers knew Ghost Rider was coming. So I happened to buy Ghost Rider 1 3 weeks ago, like 2 weeks before San Diego Comic-Con was announced, for $100, 9.8. At an auction, it just looked like the right price. I put in a low bid. I accidentally won it. Ghost Rider #1 doesn't mean anything to me. I wasn't collecting in the 90s. Certainly wasn't collecting Ghost Rider. I have a number 15 newsstand double sign. I really like that one. I have the Midnight Suns run. What is that, 28, 29, 30, something like that. I knew the Midnight Suns were coming, but I really didn't think #1 of Ghost Rider Volume 2 I got Ghost Rider Volume 1. I got a number 1 Ghost Rider Volume 1, number 4, 9.8 Ghost Rider Volume 1. But Volume 2 in the 90s, one of my rules is stay away from 90s books for the most part, unless it's a book I really like. But for the most part, so I never really saw Ghost Rider 1 as anything to get, but I got it. And it was really just a whim. It was a cheap price. I put in a low bid of 100 and won it. I was really surprised. It'd probably be less than 100 because I think it was 101 fully shipped. And now it's selling, $300-400. Last sale was $375 before shipping and tax, so over 400. So there's a little bit of that. You win some, you lose some. Some go up, some go down. Again, buyer's remorse, I think, is like, I blew it. Should you have known better? Should you have bought that subscription to GPA? Should you have done a little bit more research? Did you have that gut that you were selling it too low and you were like, maybe I should just sell it? I don't know if it's a subjective thing, but I always say, price it at a price where if someone buys it, you'll be happy. If someone buys it for a lower price, you're not happy. Maybe you're happy you got the money to help something else or do something else. And then you walk away and you move on. But there's true buyer's remorse where you just priced it to a seller's remorse. You just priced it too low. You didn't take the time. You didn't do your research, and you're kicking yourself for making a mistake. So that's my 2 cents on how to avoid seller's remorse. Maybe I'll try to do a video on how to avoid buyer's remorse, because I have some of those stories as well. Take care, guys. Happy